Welcome everybody to At Home with Horizon, the brand new podcast from us. I'm David Chabinder and I'm joined by fellow friend Matthew Cathcart. He plays Reese in The Dead Among Us. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you all good. I just didn't know when to come in.
Right. So do you want to explain the podcast to everyone?
Yeah, so the podcast is going to be our way of sort of communicating with everyone so we can get across any updates, whether that's to the Dead Among Us show or any project we have in general, just to sort of like keep the hype alive for the show and get everyone excited for the second half of the season.
And yeah, so basically how it's going to work is during these next few weeks we're going to try and get as many podcasts out to you guys on the Horizon channel. We'll have cast coming on, we'll be playing games, asking them questions from you guys through Instagram and just other social media platforms. But yeah, basically that's how it's going to work. So welcome along to the ride and let's begin. Okay, so another way this podcast is going to work, we're going to have 3 segments divided into 3, just for 3 different things we're going to talk about. And we're going to start with segment 1, so here it is. So, Matt, got a few questions for you. Obviously, COVID-19 struck earlier this year and that suspended filming. I've just got a few questions for you to see how you've really been coping during this pandemic. And the first question is, how have you been coping in this pandemic?
Yeah, I've been coping all right. I've been sticking to the rules mostly, and sort of just making sure you don't catch the illness. I don't really.
I think that's what everyone's been trying to do. So the second question, how hard has it been for you not being able to film? Obviously, it's exciting stuff being able to film and it's what you want to do, but it's been cut short so far this year.
I've definitely missed being on set and with the rest of the cast. I really have. But I've sort of looked at it and I'd rather not catch a potentially fatal illness than film. But I know it won't be long till we pick filming back up and we all get back into it. So I've missed it, but I'll be alright.
Yeah, I think it's been hard for all of us really, not being able to film. It's obviously what we all want to be doing. We just want to get the season finished and released to you guys. And that brings us on to the next question. Have you missed being on set with everyone and just on set in general for filming?
Yeah, I think the sets that we have, I do think because everything's in there, nothing's computer really, not necessarily. It's you can interact with everything, and so the sets are quite fun to be on, and you can use a lot of the space. So yeah, I like being on set. I do sort of miss being on the set with everyone.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. Obviously, we don't have professional sets. We don't build them or anything. We just find them, basically go out. And yeah, it's a lot of fun being in the wild, I guess is the right way to describe it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Okay, so obviously there's only the second season left to be filmed. And how excited are you to finish that?
I'm very excited to finish it. I like what storylines we've got in place, and I like how everyone else is excited about filming it. And I just love the way the series is going so far.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting storyline. Obviously it's a bit biased coming from us, but
yeah.
It is really exciting to put stuff out. Like the first season when we were putting stuff out, we were always checking every few minutes. The first few hours it was like an episode was out, we were just checking for the feedback because it was really exciting, and we've sure missed putting out stuff for you. Yeah. So yeah, final question from the Horizon team. Out of the cast, who have you missed the most?
It's got to be Donald Hunter. The guy's just a legend.
Not this again, man.
It's just the acting on that amount is just phenomenal.
Just Donald.
He's the Al Pacino of Dead Among Us.
I'm pretty sure I have Donald somewhere. Maybe I should put him in the background of the podcast. Yes. Maybe the next one.
Yeah, we'll do. Just hide him throughout.
Yeah, just like giveaway. If you can spot how many times Donald appeared in the podcast, you can win Donald.
Yeah, that's a hefty one.
Shall we actually do a Donald giveaway?
We could try and do,
At the end,
like
Donald giveaway, winner baby. That interview, yeah, that was something. If you don't know what we're on about, go check out the interview. It's the only interview on our channel, the Horizon channel. It was a lot of fun filming with Lewis and Louis, and obviously Matt was in there as well, and me. I was interviewing them, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. We've got bloopers from it. We couldn't show all the bloopers actually. Some of them were quite interesting, but yeah.
No, yeah,
basically.
You know the interview.
Yeah.
Thingy, we were in college the other day, and our tutor, we were just talking about it while we were just listening to it, and then someone overheard what we were talking about, and then they asked our tutor to put it on, and he genuinely turned his like little laptop round and like he just put the interview on, like all of it.
Wait, can I just ask, the interview or the bloopers?
The interview, the bloopers went out then.
Okay, that is relieving.
Yeah, and
if he's all the bloopers.
Where, I like do a click with my mouth and like open it a bit, and he like screenshotted it, zoomed in, and like airdropped it to everyone in the like room. So
good old teachers.
There's that.
Yeah, honestly, that interview was a lot of fun, and just I don't know. Interviews in general are just fun to film. You get to see the other side of everyone. Obviously, there's the character side and the actor side, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I sure want to do a lot more.
Okay, so recently me and David have come to the decision to reinstate filming. So on the 25th of July, that is when we intend to bring filming back.
Yeah.
And like we just figured, like, you know, hopefully the sort of restrictions will have lifted a little bit by that point, and people will be more, like, you know, more comfortable being outside.
Yeah, basically, that's the day we want to aim for to get back to filming, because we really have missed it and we want to get the content out to you guys. Why we chose the day, obviously Matthew's already mentioned, it gives time for the government here in the UK to lift some of the restrictions, allow less social distancing, I think is the right terminology to use in this instance. And yeah, it's just, I think, the best date to really choose. It's also a good date for the crew. As some of you may know, we all still attend college and we have schoolwork and so on. And the 25th would give us more time for filming and get it done quicker, as we won't be able to focus on schoolwork. Currently, for example, me, I've begun schoolwork in like Microsoft Teams meetings and so on. So even if we were to start filming now, I won't really have time, and I know a few other cast members would have the same problem. But yeah, the 25th of July would give us more time, as it'll be around the start of what would be the 6 weeks, so we won't have as much calls and schoolwork to do. So I think that really helps us with the filming. So one of the key things we're going to have to look at when we return to filming is staying safe and keeping our crew and cast members safe. One of the ways we're going to do this is obviously by minimising the cast and crew on set to allow us to film in a healthy and safe environment. We don't want any outbreaks or anything. Obviously, before we film, we're going to make sure everyone's okay, no symptoms, no nothing. We won't allow anyone on set, obviously, if not. And how we're going to do it, I think, is just use the necessary cast we need for a necessary episode or a scene. So we're not going to bring everyone, and we're not going to like have a lot of crew members there with us. We're just going to take everyone we need, and yeah, just get it done. Not sure if you want to add anything to that, Matt.
I mean, it's when like limiting the crew, and then we're going to be limiting the extras as well, because obviously for a zombie themed thing, whether that's we use one extra like an episode or a couple an episode, like obviously the extras have been an issue throughout the whole sort of filming of the show, where people
Yeah,
have
definitely.
like said they'd do it 1 minute and then change their mind, which is fine. Just don't do it like 20 minutes before we're filming.
Yeah,
And then,
just casual dig, you know. But yeah, no, it's a good point. Obviously, we do have issues when filming. We're not Marvel by any means, obviously, and but yeah. So, I mean, extras, like you said, it's a good point, Matt. We're gonna minimalise that. For some episodes that we have planned, that like using one extra or two might be a problem.
Yeah, it might be a problem, but that's where we've
but
just got to sort of double
it's
down
just
on.
Picking and choosing where you minimise like socialising, obviously. Obviously, we can't film at 2 meters. I don't think that would work. You know, just suddenly in every episode, everyone's standing 2 meters away. Look a bit strange.
As long as we're safe behind the cameras and
Yeah.
on the count and in front of it,
Like washing our hands when leaving a set and stuff like that.
Like we'll be bringing like hand sanitizer and so on to set.
Yeah.
So
Also, another thing is, obviously we don't live all together or like really close walking distance with each other. A few of our cast live in a different region that's a few minutes away, and obviously public transport is limited now with the pandemic. And one way we're thinking of getting them down is obviously by lifts, but also they will be kept safe. We won't pack everyone into the same car and things like that. So yeah, we really are looking after our cast and crew. We don't want to contribute to the ongoing pandemic.
no.
Okay guys, thank you for tuning in so far. Hope you're enjoying it. Hope we're not too boring. Make sure to tell us if we are. Honestly, we can take the stick, and we're going to make this as good as possible for you guys. So we're going to start with our final segment, and we have a few announcements here. We've already made one about the 25th of July. Is where we're going to aim to return to filming. And the final big announcement, I guess, is that there is going to be a possibility that the season will be 10 episodes long, which will be 2 more episodes than what it was before. Obviously, before we were planning on having 8, but a few things have happened, and also we've gathered a few more ideas which could push for a 10 episode season. It's not confirmed yet. I've still got to do a bit of thinking and planning and just get my head around whether we can pull it off. But it's looking good so far, is all I'm going to say. And we'll go into the details about how we're going to extend and what sort of things we're going to do in a second. So first, I think we should start, Matt, with how the story's going to change a little.
Yeah.
So there were complications during some of the filming of the second season. We won't go into them this episode. We will go into them, I think, another time. Save that for another podcast. I'm not sure if you want to add anything, Matt, about what I've said so far.
No, I mean, like we said earlier, we've always had issues filming this season, whether that's casting or we want to do something but don't have the facilities for it. Like, it's the same that happened here. We got, like I said, no details now. We'll go into that another episode. But, like, problems arose, like, complications were found, like, there were discrepancies, and we couldn't figure them out, and, you know, a change happened, and so...
Yeah, and there's no, like, hard feelings or anything towards
obviously,
anyone
like,
with this.
We
understand, so yeah.
We've had issues with casting, like, the whole time. Like, we've had projects before where we've had to recast the whole thing like 3 or 4 times before we have one, and then even then, like, they still drop out, and like we accept that, like, this isn't everyone's like passion, this isn't what everyone wants to do with their lives.
Yeah,
so
like,
we can understand
at the end of the day,
to give it time for that.
like, where we want to be and where some of the people wanted to be, it wasn't on the same path, I think is the right way to say, and that is perfectly fine. Obviously, we don't want to force anyone to do anything that they're not enjoying. But yeah, enough about that. We'll go into detail in another podcast, so make sure to be there when we talk about that. But anyway, let's move on how the season can expand to 10 episodes. So basically, we just me and Matt were on and off phone calls talking, and we've decided that we want to expand on some of the characters. We already had ideas in the original second half to expand on a few characters, but not enough. I didn't really think. So we really want to expand on some of the characters' backgrounds mainly, so you as audiences can connect and really understand who they are and so on. And one of the characters we want to do that is a hint here. We're gonna drop the news, is Leon. Now, we're not going to go into details of his background or anything, or what the episodes, if there is going to be even an episode about him, what it's going to be. We've just been thinking about it. I've been writing down some ideas. And basically, we just want to I keep using the word background, but that's what we want to do. We just want to give him a good background, a powerful background, that builds his character and makes the audience bond to him. Because I think one of the things we didn't do is give a few characters enough background.
No.
I think we can both agree on that.
I feel like we just were like, oh yeah, we'll just figure it out as we go along. But then again, with a big sort of penultimate finale, originally if we stick to 8 episodes, we've got 4 episodes to build up new characters, make the audience like them, so then the stakes for the finale is a lot bigger than they are.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on to the final part of this segment. Obviously on social media, we asked you guys as the fans to drop any messages and any questions for Matt and for the show in general. It was yesterday or 2 days ago, depending when this is released. And yeah, we got a few, so we've got a few for this episode. So we're going to start with the questions from Matt, and the first few are for Matt in terms of his character, in terms of being on set and so on. So we'll start with a few we got off of Instagram on the story we put up. So so the questions for Matthew in terms of being on set and his character. So this one came in from Instagram. How did you build the character of Reese for the series? Any inspirations?
I don't think so. I wanted to put some. So I did look at some characters of from other zombie shows like Walking Dead and other ones, and I sort of just picked the ones that stuck with me. I looked at where we wanted Reese to go in terms of character and so on, and I sort of looked at how other people portrayed a character similar to Reese, and just sort of built on that. So yeah, no, I don't have any specific inspiration, but I do. I know where I want it to go.
Yeah, I think that basically sums up that question. I think later on there's a question. Yeah, later on there's a question for the show in general, which we'll answer both, and I think we can go more into details about inspirations and all that. But thank you for that question. It's quite a good question, I thought. But yeah, moving on, we've got a similar one to one of the ones we asked you earlier, and funnily enough, we know who asked this, and it is a cast member that asked this. And he asked, who is your favourite and least favourite cast member?
Oh my god, you already know, I'm going to say Donald's my favourite and Zane's my least favourite because I know he wrote that one.
He's just trying to simp on you, really. He's just trying to get on your good side, you know.
He's trying to get on my good side so I don't pistol whip him in the second half.
Yeah, Zane, just stop. Stop
just
being a simp.
Ask me an actual question.
Right. Yeah, there you go, Zane. I know I called you a simp, but please still come on the podcast, please. Thank you. Anyway, moving on to the next question. So I got messaged a few questions just from some people, and one of them wanted to know whether you are happy with the show so far.
But yeah, I'm happy with the show so far. I think I like the storyline. I like where we've taken it. I'm fairly happy with it. I'm proud of what we put out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way you portrayed your character is really good, and obviously as a director, I'm really happy with how you portrayed him. I'm really excited to see the rest of the season, how you keep portraying him, because it's really good. So there you go, a compliment from me. There you go. You can put that on your CV. Award-winning director.
I wonder whether there are any like actual like awards for like films like put out on YouTube.
Well, on one of the podcasts that we're going to release in the coming time, I did want to talk about the idea we had about the Horizon Awards.
Oh yeah.
So like we've never like actually fully like put out anything about them or told really the public and like you the fans, but we'll go into that on one of the podcasts because it was a really cool idea, I thought. We never got to do it.
It was quite good, and it's like a little something as well.
Yeah.
It's something that everyone can get in on.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's not...
Even if they've been a part of one project or 7, like, they can still get in on it, so...
Yeah. But we'll go into detail in another podcast so we don't run out of stuff to talk about, you know. I'd love to sit here for, like, a long time and say everything I've got to say, but, you know, we've got to chop it down into bits, otherwise we'd be here for about 9 hours. Anyway, another person messaged me, and well, this kind of goes to what I mentioned, but they were asking how happy are you with how you've portrayed your character?
I'm fair. I like I said earlier, I'm happy with the show. I'm happy with everyone else's character. I'm happy with my character as well. I like everything about it. Like, I like the backstory behind it. I like how I portrayed it. I do swear a lot. I should probably not do that as much. Like, if I could change one thing, it's that. Like, that's what I would change. But like, you know, it's done now, and like, you know,
Yeah.
I thought I was doing something at the time that clicked.
I mean, the same person went further with the question and asked whether you had any regrets, and you've kind of already answered that with the swearing parts.
I didn't swear as much.
Yeah.
That's my regret. I would change that if I could, but you know.
Yeah, well, one of the questions that's not on the script that I got asked actually was whether we use scripts and all that, and that kind of links in with there because we started this a while back. There's another question where we'll talk about that. We started a while back, and we decided not to write script. We just made PowerPoint slides describing each episode to the max, basically, as we thought it would be a good idea to like just have it like kind of like you follow a story rather than a script, and you can like the cast can improvise, and we felt it would feel more natural. But yeah, I think for the future we're gonna start using a lot more scripts.
Yeah, I feel like while the improvising has got us so far, it's gonna get to a point where we are gonna need a script.
Yeah, just for a bit of like a backbone in our films, if you get me, like something that we can follow with even more detail, and you know, just get through it and just keep it professional as possible with what we've got. Another question was, this is an interesting one actually, I found that people are going in on these sort of details. Will we ever see Reese's parents in the future?
Officially, I don't know. Officially, I don't know whether we will see them or not. Like, I can't answer that as like person behind the scenes and behind the script and say like, oh yeah, we'll see them soon, because I don't know. Personally, I don't know what we would do with that. It'd be a cool storyline, definitely. I just don't know how we'd pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, us two both have talked about it like kind of in a jokey way.
We've talked about a lot of potential storylines, and a storyline where Reese's parents come back into play has definitely been in the talks. Personally, I think it'd be a cool storyline, but maybe like, later on. I feel like the stuff we've got planned now is like it's enough for a first season. I feel like if we bring Reese's parents back into the playing field, it's going to distract the focus from where we need it.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, what we've got so far and we've got planned, The Dead Among Us is an open book, and you can turn to any page, you can do anything you want with it, and that, like, you obviously being us as producers, and that's I feel like that's a really good thing to have. Like, you being able to take a story anywhere you want. Obviously, a closed book, we'd have to like follow a certain story, but the way we've gone about it, I think, has really helped us make it an open book, and we can take it anywhere we want. We could change up at any moment. Like, as you'll see, obviously, we've talked earlier in the podcast about how we're changing the story due to some complications we have, and the reason we're able to do that is because of how we've gone about filming, if you get me. We've not like set our eyes on one story, that's it. We've been quite open. I mean, even in planning, we've had always different stories. Like the first episode, I think we had like 4 different copies of it or something like that, didn't we?
We had so many different versions of the opening. It was strange. Like, I remember originally we were gonna have Leon come in episode 4, but he changed that to episode 3 because we thought we needed to bring him on a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
We had,
and just like Reese's character as well, like it was different. I mean, there is one character linked to Reese. I'm not gonna mention though that we had a different storyline for him, but that kind of changed. There was also about Reese's parents. Even we had like, there was one version where his mum wasn't alive anymore, and he just lived with his dad, and his dad.
We actually shot that. We
we
shot
did.
about 2 or 3 different openings, one of which we used, and one of them we did have a sort of darker approach to the, like, we had a darker approach to the opening, and a different way in which Reese obtains the revolver that he uses.
Yeah, so basically what we're getting from here is that, like, we're keeping it an open book. Like, we never want to just focus our eyes in one direction. We always want to be able to change the direction, change the story if need be. It's not set on one, like, storyline, if you get me. We've not got like 10 seasons planned, like all following one story, and if something goes wrong we just give up. And I think that's a really good thing to have in a production team. Okay, so on to the next questions by the fans and the public. They're more about you rather than your character and being on set.
Okay.
So I've got some from Instagram here. So the first one is, what has been your go-to food during quarantine?
So it kind of like differs. I had a bit where I made a load of like grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yeah.
Like, I would.
Oh.
Not like the first time I made them, I turned the toaster sideways, which wasn't a great idea. It was also the first time I was staying over at I was at a new house. I was at a new environment, and I thought, turn the toaster sideways, get some bread with some cheese on it, and put it in a toaster. It was nice, but like, could have gone about it a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I think pizza's up there for me.
Yeah, those like little microwavable rice things that you can get. Like,
no, but go on.
I had some of those, and then like some of those like noodles you can make in like a pan. Like some of those, like there you go. You've got a Chinese takeaway, just minus the takeaway, and you're all sorted.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to food in quarantine, it's just what you feel like. But I feel like a lot of crap food has definitely been consumed during this pandemic. But hey, you know, you got to do what you got to do during quarantine, I guess.
You've got to do.
Okay, so the next one is quite an interesting one from Instagram.
Is it?
It's quite, yeah, it's quite, I'd say it's quite like specific, really. It's what's your favourite exotic fruit?
Exotic fruit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I had dragon fruit once. That was quite nice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but surely, like, you can just say like an apple. I mean, if it's from like, I don't know, what would you class as exotic? Madagascar. If you get an apple from Madagascar, doesn't that make it exotic? You know.
I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah. So you know, definitely. Yeah, definitely choose something. I mean,
I didn't think dragon fruit like existed as well. Like, I thought it was like this myth that like Angry Birds made up to like, it's like a new way you can like, because you know how like you'd shoot like the can of tuna and then the mighty eagle like swoop down and like kill all the pigs.
yeah.
Like they did like a Chinese New Year version, and you shot a dragon fruit, and it landed and the eagle came in, but it was like dressed like a dragon. So I thought dragon fruit was like.
Oh, I remember that actually.
I remember it being. I thought it was like this made up thing that like Angry Birds made up, and Rovio made up to like make the mighty eagle seem like quirky and different.
Yeah, I mean, Angry Birds making stuff up. I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise, I guess. I mean, they literally made a film about green pigs and talking birds. But yeah, I feel like we've spent more time on this question about exotic fruit than any other question. But hey, and final one for you from Instagram as well is how many times have you watched the first half of the season?
A lot more than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
I have.
Well, it's just natural, you know.
It is like.
But the real question is whether you like the video, you know.
Oh, I've liked all of them.
Oh, that's
I've
it
liked all
then.
of them.
I'm not the only one.
If you've left a nice comment on the videos, I'll probably like that as well. So.
Yeah, you know, just like. If you leave like a really nice comment on our videos, you can assure that like one of us is when reading that blushing behind our screens.
Yeah, I get all hot and flustered when I see it.
Yeah, but it's just nice to see like really good positive feedback from people, and yeah, we really do appreciate every support we get. And if you can hear barking, that is the dogs downstairs. I apologise. But yeah, okay, so the final set of questions before we move on to the outro. These are for both of us in terms of The Dead Among Us and just like us as producers. So we had a lot actually come in, but I've only used 5, saved some for other podcasts and so on. So the first one I've got on here is what's your future plans for The Dead Among Us? So shall I start or?
I mean, are you going to be like, oh, what's officially happening? Or what you personally want to happen?
I think, I don't want to say it's official yet, but season 2 has definitely been planned a little. And we've definitely talked about it a lot.
We've definitely.
And it is, we do want to do a second season. The support so far on this season has been good and we want to continue it. I mean, the way I think season 1 is going to like end, without spoiling too much, is like, you know, gonna suggest a second season, I think is okay to say.
Yeah, it's gonna heavily imply another season, so like while we can't officially be like, oh yeah, it's happening, because it might not happen.
Yeah.
But like, I think personally we want it to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so fun like being on set with everyone and filming. So I don't see why not. It's not like when we planned like when we first started planning the Den Among Us, we didn't, just like think, right, we'll do this season, and that's it. There was always like the thought of a second season.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it did crap or not, like the first one, I mean, obviously, like we always had talks of the second season. I'm pretty sure we even like started like writing ideas down during the making of season 1.
When we initially started planning season 1, we wrote down so many ideas that we had for like future seasons. It was quite. It was very like surreal looking at it.
Yeah. So for sure, I wouldn't. I think that's the future plans really for Dead Among Us. Just again, see where we can take this open book. Okay, so this next one came from Instagram, and I don't really know how to answer this one, but anyway, I'll read it out. If you could bring back someone into the series, dead or alive, who would you bring back and why? Now, the reason that I don't fully understand the question is because, one, if they're alive, how can we bring them back? I mean, no one's departed.
No one's. Well, yeah, they've left the show, but like their episodes haven't come out. We can work around that, like. Yeah.
And also, like, dead.
We've got one dead character. We've got one.
Only Craig's dead, and Craig, bringing back Craig. Obviously, we can't do that in this timeline like that we're on, because he's dead. Like, one, you see him get eaten by a zombie, and two,
if that's not enough, you see him as a zombie a couple minutes later.
You see him as a zombie, and then 3, he's in Reese's dreams, which I don't think really suggests that he's dead, but
yeah, like,
it suggests it, like,
Like, I mean, we're gonna build on this whole like the fact that Craig's sort of death has like tormented Reese. We're gonna delve into that.
I guess in that way he could come back.
In that way, yeah, he is coming back technically, but coming back as a character, not necessarily. Not in like.
Well, there is another thing where he could come back, maybe, that we talked about a while back, but again, we'll say that for another podcast, so make sure to tune in. But yeah, I don't think there's anyone we can really bring back or. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's really that question answered. But yeah, thank you anyway for answering. We appreciate your I guess what's the right word? Your
questions.
Okay. Moving on. Now this is the question that I said earlier that would like answer a bit further some of the questions we've already had, and that is what is your inspiration for Dead Among Us? So some of my friends know that I'm a fan of The Walking Dead, and they ask, is that your like inspiration and all that? And I don't know, it's, I guess, like now a little bit, yeah, since I've watched it, and like I like obviously I like it, and I see things I'm like, that'd be interesting to use in our show. But the thing is, when we started planning the Dead Among Us, all those, like, all the time back in year 10 with you in the media room, like, we didn't even watch The Walking Dead.
No,
we just thought, we should do a zombie show.
The first instance of Dead Among Us was, we were in English, and we were doing this whole, like, sort of zombie-themed sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
good point, yeah.
What we were doing was we had to write our own zombie story. So we each wrote one, and I think it was you who used the title "The Dead Among Us" as your title for your like zombie story, and you told that, and we got really into it, and we were like, we should make like a zombie series.
Yeah, and then
so because
we used to. Sorry, can I just come in here? We used to always go to the media room during like lunchtime, because we were like nerds, I guess. And we just always go and like our log on to one of the computers and just like write stuff because we loved like creating stuff. Obviously, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm pretty sure I just like as like we were talking about the English lesson. I'm pretty sure I just like asked you like, yo, shall we just like do this like
Yeah, we
see
did.
what
We
we
just
can come
set
up
it up
with.
in an English lesson. Like it was.
Yeah, and then
the
we
back
just-
row of an English lesson.
Yeah, and we just started writing ideas down on the computer, and then eventually started writing it into a story.
And that's just where it came from.
Yeah, and then I think we decided to start watching The Walking Dead to get, like help like fuel our like imagination and like
Yeah,
see what
because-
other films are like. And it just happened we fell in love with the show, both of us really.
Here we are.
So, and yeah, here we are now, like 2 years later. Maybe would have been 2 years. Yeah, it would have. So yeah, I think that's where the inspiration came from. A English lesson. I'd never thought I'd actually say that I came up with something in an English lesson because English was not for me.
I think year 10 and 11 English was difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the creative side. I just didn't enjoy all the like analysing, you know.
Yeah, I feel
Side.
like with English, like not every quote's meant to be like meant to have this like
Yeah.
giant subtext and like big like
And I mean,
context.
you did have
behind
your little beef, didn't you?
it. I did because I didn't like the way she was teaching the class, and I thought I don't even remember fully what it was about, but like we were only getting like topics. We were only getting like really political topics, really sensitive topics,
Yeah.
and then we were.
The only time I appreciated the topics we were doing was when we did the zombie one because our English teacher quite liked like zombie films and stuff like that and books.
She also spoiled about 3 deaths for The Walking Dead, didn't she?
Yeah, I mean,
What did she?
You know,
I
it
think she
happens.
spoiled Shane, Laurie's, and
she mentioned Carl.
yeah.
Sorry to anyone that's watching it's not seen The Walking Dead, but that's your fault.
Lovely.
What you're doing, it's been out for so long. Just watch it.
Yes, yeah, and I feel like you're gonna hear about it at some point. Might as well be from
Yeah.
us.
Okay, yeah. So I think that's that question covered basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got 2 more questions. Now this is another like interesting one. It's interesting to see how like people are paying attention to the episodes, I feel, and it's really nice to see like, you know, people are actually like intrigued, just like with like little like plots and stuff. So anyway, here we go. At the end of episode 2, there's an end credit scene. Who was behind that phone call? I'm quickly gonna in editing roll the clip here. But yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is, you might just have to wait and see.
Yeah, like officially, I don't know. Even I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Like, I feel like I'm the only one that knows,
Yeah, you will be the only one that knows, and like.
and that's cool. I like that power, you know.
All right then.
But yeah, you're just gonna have to wait and see, you know.
Like, I'd love to spoil it on the podcast, but I can't. I don't know.
So, it's actually a funny story how this came about. This little plot thing. I don't think I've even told you.
No, I just remember getting a phone call from you one time, and you were like, "Oh, so you know how your phone died before you made a call?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, maybe it didn't die right away." And I was like, okay. At the
Yeah.
time, I was like, "Okay, cool. I don't know what you want me to do with that information." And then I watched the episode later, and it got to the end credits, and I was like, "He could have been a bit more specific at the time, like, you know."
Well, here's a story of how that came about. So I was editing episode 2, right? And I was planning to add like one of those like phone calls, like maybe like later on, or like something like to do with whoever that character is, let's say.
Yeah.
But then I was editing episode 2, and I was just finishing it up. I added like the end credits because I just finished the whole episode, and then I watched it back before I was exporting it, and I noticed I forgot to, because earlier there was some like you were ringing someone in the episode.
Yeah.
So I was using like obviously sound effects, like phone ringing sound effects when editing, and I'd have just copied and pasted right at the end of like the timeline of the editor, just so I could, whenever I needed them, just copy and paste them in. And I left exactly like I think 3 rings at the end, and when I was watching it back, I obviously like the end credits finished, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good episode." I suddenly started ringing. I was like, "Oh crap! I've left bloody the sound effect at the end." Then it got me thinking, like, well, actually, I was going to do that at some point this season in an episode, and it makes sense that it happens now since you were like trying to get to someone earlier in the episode. So I just decided to like leave it in and just imply it earlier than what I was planning on. But yeah, it's interesting how like, I guess I wouldn't really say editing mistakes. It's just like coincidences, I guess. Can like, yeah.
I want a game or a film. Like one thing that I want to like see, one thing that I want to happen, and that'll be like a dream come true, is I want like game or film through it. I want MatPat to make a theory on like a show that or like film that we've done.
That would be pretty cool. I think that would be like, if that actually happened, I think we'd be able to like say that, yeah, we've been pretty successful.
I could die happily knowing that MatPat made a theory on Dead Among Us. I could happily knowing that.
That'd be good. Make it happen, guys. Retweet.
Can we get MatPat to make a theory on Dead Among Us, please?
Yeah, can everyone just like bully him in his DMs, please?
Like, I genuinely, you know, when I'm not doing anything, I go on YouTube and I just watch like Game of Film Theory, and I watch them for hours. Because you know, like he's done a lot of like those like Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, and honestly, like secondary school, we were obsessed. We were obsessed. I
mean, we were late to a geography lesson because we were playing Five Nights at Freddy's in the quad just outside, sat on a bench. We were playing. Like the quad, right, is full. It's literally packed during break time, and we just sat down with our head like down in our phones. And then everyone starts leaving for lesson, and it's just us 2 left outside. But we don't realise because we're addicted to bloody Five Nights at Freddy's. And then, like, finally we finish, we, like, die or, like, complete the night, whatever. And then we look up and it's like, oh, crap, where is everyone? And then we just look opposite, and, like, the classroom was, like, opposite where we were sat, and everyone's in there. We look at the time, and it's been, like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So we just start running, and obviously we were, like, year 8 at the time, or, like, year 7. And we were like scared.
We were terrified.
We were terrified of what the teacher was going to say when we were walking late. So yeah, that's a funny story, but yeah.
Horizon Pictures Five Nights at Freddy's film.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah, definitely. But yeah, so I think that's another goal we can add. To have a film theory.
Yeah, I definitely want a film theory being made. I feel like. Oh, you know as well. At one point as well, I wrote a full-on like script for not 1, not 2, but 3 Five Nights at Freddy's films.
Yeah.
I did. They were all on my.
Yeah, I know you sent me all of them whilst I was on holiday, I think.
Yeah. Oh hello, there's a cat.
Oh. That's the next story. Reese, from Dead Among Us actor that plays Reese, has cat.
Yes. Here right now.
Okay, right. Final question in this last segment of the podcast before we go to the outro. Sorry if we have bored you. Well, sorry, not sorry, because this is really cool filming. But yeah. So, this is a good question. What were the hardest shots to film? Now, I think I'll let you start from a actor's point of view, because you can get 2 views, I think, here, like actor's point of view and then like director / like cameraman, which is what I was doing, obviously, point of view. So you can go first.
I think the hardest one probably, you know, what is it? The start of episode 3.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking you were going to say
Yeah,
that, yeah.
like when it was absolutely chucking it down. It was raining. It was cold rain as well, and I was
Yeah.
there like.
I mean, it was like 10 degrees or like
it was
no
so
no
cold.
more than
it
that.
It was so cold. It was just taking me back to when we filmed Abominable, and like
Yeah.
I got back and I was like shaking like that because I've been rolling around in the snow in a bin. But like I definitely thought that was the hardest one for me anyway, just because of how cold it was.
Yeah, I mean, it made for a really good shot, and it was very like brave of you to do that, you know, like, and put yourself on the line. But yeah, it was a really good shot.
Yeah, I do like the shot a lot. I like the final outcome of it.
The atmosphere, like the weather creates.
Yeah.
But yeah, and from like directors and like camera point of view, like, so what I do, obviously, like, also like that shot would have been harder because of the rain, and like the camera's obviously like getting rain all over the lenses and so on.
I think we got Zayn or any I think whoever, I don't remember who he had as an extra. I think it might have been, I don't know, but
didn't Zayn bring a brolly?
He brought an umbrella and like held it over you as you filmed.
Yeah, which was nice of him. Thank you, Zayn.
It was nice, but like it was like reaching up really high.
Well, yeah, Zayn. No, I'm not going to call him short on the podcast.
No.
Zayn just wasn't as tall as me. But yeah,
I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm next.
But yeah, so from that perspective of the rain, I guess you can say that was hard. But like, I think the view for me is a bit different because of like me being the cameraman director, and like how you interpret like hardest shots. And I feel like some of the hardest shots we'd have to film were some of the shots with like herds and stuff, and like
when we used
CGI zombies.
CGI zombies, like we had to get the camera like completely still. And I remember there was one day where we needed a CGI zombie and I forgot to bring the tripod. And so we had to hold it so incredibly still so then we could get the shot. And it worked out okay. Like I don't regret using, I've got a really itchy nose for some reason.
I mean, we're not gonna lie here, like, we know the CGI like zombies and stuff aren't like
they weren't
like great. Like,
know.
yeah.
But the reason we had
trust me, like, we're not
zombies,
hiding anything. We agree, like, they're not great. It's just like what we have to deal with though with the equipment we have.
The reason we had to use CGI zombies was because we planned this big set piece with all these extras.
Yeah.
And then they just cancelled last minute, and we were like, oh well.
I think only one showed up.
Only one person was like, yeah, I'll come down, and we just said like, don't bother. Like everyone else is cancelled, so we're just gonna use CGI stuff.
But yeah, so yeah, we just had to find the best, and honestly, it's so hard to find free like chroma key, which is like green screen and like CGI, like free videos to use. So I just had to use the best one we had that would fit the camera. So yeah, I feel like the first few episodes where we used like the CGI zombies and stuff, we didn't use them because we thought, oh, they look so amazing, like this shot's going to be so good. We used them just to tell the story.
Yeah, and like I feel like as long as you're not looking at the show for like how it looks, if you're looking for the show for the story as well as everything else, then it redeems itself, really.
At the end of the day, if you focus on the story, you're gonna get you're gonna see like our potential, I guess. And the more support you give, and like we have been doing, and we really appreciate support, and like the more support we get, the like further it's gonna push us to make it even better and better, and actually like, you know, want to spend money on like better equipment. Because obviously it's good and all like spending money on equipment, but it's not worth it if, you know, we're not gonna like get anywhere with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. We do appreciate all the support we get. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching the first episode of the At Home with Horizon podcast. I've been David, joined by Matt.
Yeah.
Next episode will be coming out very shortly, and we're going to try and get Zane Cassidy, he plays Leon, on the podcast so we can talk to him as well. Make sure to watch the first half of the Deadmongers if you haven't already over at the Horizon Pictures channel, which is where we upload all our projects, like content, the actual films and series. Also, check out our Instagram, it will be linked, and any other social media platforms. Check out our merch as well. That is on Spreadshirt. If you go on Spreadshirt, search for Horizon, you can find the merch. And yeah, I think that's basically everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I've really enjoyed this. Not sure about you, Matt.
I have loved doing this. I've not filmed a podcast before. And I've loved
it's been fun.
This.
I mean, it's a new experience for both of us.
Yeah.
We've literally got I have anyway, a basic setup, you know. But yeah, it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed speaking to you about this sort of stuff, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe so we know, and please leave comments, good or bad. We want to see feedback, we want to see how we can improve. And yeah, thank you again so much for watching, and it's goodbye for now from both of us.